Pizza lovers rejoice, I'm talking to you today. I consider myself to be an aficionado and can enjoy a slice in many forms, from that weird school lunch square to the highly touted deep dish styles of Chicago, and I'll never say no to a fold-over slice from the city. I think I could dedicate an entire episode to how brand is actually like a pizza, but that's not today's focus. I'm here to unpack the place where the pizza is served. Now, as noted, I'm happy with a variety of pizza products, and I'm also happy to engage with the stuff at venues both sophisticated and, shall we say, austere. But recently, we met some of our dearest friends for dinner at a new-to-us pizza location. The website which we used to help us decide to try it out employed an elegant design style, and the food photos were beautiful. The online menu included some rather fancy options, and we thought we knew what we would experience based on that. The restaurant's logo supported these assumptions as we walked up to the establishment, so imagine our surprise when we entered a rather dressed-down space featuring a pile of plastic-coated menus and counter service. Again, not a single problem with this experience, it just wasn't what we expected, and to be frank, those standard frozen cheese sticks a la Schwann's delivery did not look or taste anything like the pillowy hand-breaded appetizer advertised back at its internet home. In essence, the brand experience wasn't authentic at all. Hi, I'm Amy Jackson, creative director, award-winning designer, color nerd, and unapologetic brand evangelist. And this is Brand is Not a Four-Letter Word. Let's talk about the true heart of a brand, and nope, I don't mean its logo. In fact, the logo is one of the many assets that helps an audience identify and relate to a brand, and it is therefore vital to have quality work there. More on this later. But a person or company that doesn't resonate with those marketing assets, that doesn't fulfill its brand promise with an equitable brand experience, won't succeed long term. I touched on this in previous episodes, but it bears repeating often. Brands have to be authentic, actionable, and aspirational to be successful long past launch. Let's dive a little bit deeper into the A of authenticity. Now, I'll spare you a return to the Merriam-Webster online dictionary, as I think we can all define authenticity to a workable degree, right? We're looking for what we expect to match what we experience over and over. Some might say through 1,000 small gestures, but that's the podcast's first episode, isn't it? It sounds so easy. I mean, I'm in essence telling a brand to be itself. How hard can that be? It's literally just be, right? But it's not really so simple, because it's not just be. It's be in a way that your internal and external communities, a varied group of folks to be sure, expect you to be over and over, every day, year over year. Well, when we think about how we as single, simple humans adjust our personalities in 1,000 tiny ways depending on our audiences, spouses, parents, friends, children, coworkers, supervisors, lunch counter service people, well, it seems challenging for an organization made up of one, a few, or many humans all handling assets, messaging, positioning, experiences, mission, vision statements, operational needs, training documents, invoices, customer service call centers, and more to ever be truly authentic, let alone perceived as authentic, doesn't it? This is why I say that your logo is important, but it's only one piece of this puzzle. Should I say pizza? An authentic brand knows who it is. How? It's been studied, refined, and reinforced. In brand audits with me, we talk about a brand's character, and in workshops, I hold sessions dedicated to just this one single thing. Stakeholders create giant long lists of any number of adjectives that apply to a person or organization's brand, but we don't stop there, because like I mentioned above, how can we be nuanced individuals based on audience? Well, a brand might also be as well, or even more so. So we have to employ good strategy to select which characteristics to lean into, and then to develop voice, tone, visuals, etc., experiences that align with those few character traits that we deem to be the most important. But just knowing who a brand isn't enough either. We also have to look at what a brand is influenced by. I mentioned in previous episodes that I would define brand as everything. More specifically, everything a brand is, says, or does, and the perceptions of those things. But what influences everything? Also everything. Here's just a few things that can influence a new or established brand. Traditional advertising, print, electronic, digital, design trends, competition, budgets, limitations, delivery, company interactions, and communication. Let's talk about Verizon here. Now, I've apparently been on Verizon for my cellular service for more than 2 decades, and I learned this because I recently made a phone call to customer service. Now, here's the thing to consider first. I made that phone call, but I'd been receiving communication from the brand in various ways for a very long time, and I always knew what to expect. It always had a similar vibe. Even as the brand evolved and the logos updated, I still knew what it sounded like Verizon, what experience I would expect to have. And so when I made that customer service call, I had expectations of what that interaction would be like. And yes, I was surprised when they led the conversation with appreciation for my loyalty and then said a number that made me clutch my pearls. Had cell phones been around that long? Had I? While it was wonderful to be appreciated by Verizon, what I appreciated even more was the fact that they had consistent communication. I knew what to expect, I knew what information to have ready, and I was able to handle that call very quickly. Now, what about industry partners? Those also can affect a brand. Competitors can, the economy, audiences themselves, community interactions, social channels, even simple website reviews or review websites. I could go on and on, but it's enough to make you wonder, with all of this affecting your brand, does your logo even matter? Well, ask a cattle farmer. Because they're in essence plastering their brand onto their assets every time they heat up a branding iron. Why? Well, because when their cattle go awry, escape a broken fence, or are poached by nefarious means, when it's necessary to sort out who gets what, it's a sure way to claim, that's mine. And in a world of noise and options, a corporate's logo is a fast way to identify the same. The fact is, a logo improves your brand's recognition. It creates trust. It supports advertising and marketing. It inspires employees and business partners and even customers, generating new and maintaining existing. It can also build financial value. That last one might have really caught your attention. Can a logo, a brand asset, really create financial value? Let's talk about money. And in this instance, I actually mean the physical stuff. It's just paper and ink, right? But it's a specific ink with very specific paper on a specific design, all carefully and strategically chosen, selected to represent something that allows you to buy things you need every day. It gives value to something that is perceived rather than confirmed, seen, held in hand. We don't carry around the gold that backs up those dollars, but we know those bills and we know when they're authentic, and we won't accept anything that isn't. We give money a value because of its branding, in essence, its specific design selections. Sort of like a logo, right? I can go into a store and buy stuff. I can trade that brand for an experience or a product. And strong brands that represent with authentic assets attract customers and give a business advantage over its competitors. It can lead to higher sales and the ability to charge more for products or services because of its recognizability and reputation. It can drive shareholder value because of a stable and predictable cash flow, which can also lead to higher shareholder returns and reduce a stock's volatility. It encourages repeat business and creates a loyal customer base, when executed correctly, that provides consistent revenue. Strong and authentic brands may be able to spend less on marketing and can even benefit from lower employee turnover to see even more operational savings. The fact is, A brand can even be sold, so it acts as a financial asset, making its value a factor in merger and acquisitions. So yes, your logo and other assets are important. They must be well designed, using the strategy of who your brand essence is, including its character. Because we all own it, we all influence it, it's everything. So here's this week's brand hack. It's time for a survey. One of the best ways to learn the difference between what you think your brand is and what it really is to ask those stakeholders who own it and influence it and are influenced by it. You can pull together discussion groups or create a simple online form. Even Google offers something that will work at no cost. Ask what adjectives people use to describe your company or your brand. Give them space to describe how their experiences are, what they think about when they see your logo, what they think you're all about, and then dive into that feedback to develop strategy that aligns with your brand's character. And if you'd like help with this step or an entire brand project, reach out to me anytime. I'd love to help you create something authentic, actionable, and aspirational. Because brand isn't a four-letter word. It's your best strategy and your strongest story. Let's build your brand together. Learn how at brandisnotafourletterword.com, where strategy and storytelling meet design.